Welcome to the Global Wellness HQ family of podcasts. We are your international headquarters for resources and ideas and insight in relation to the 9 elements of holistic wellness. Join us as we interview local and international wellness experts and learn how you can implement and improve one element or dimension of wellness at a time. Our experts will share their practical tips on wellness in one of these core areas: emotional, intellectual, occupational, physical, environmental, financial, spiritual, social, or habitual. We created our family of podcasts as a resource for anyone who is looking to integrate the 9 elements of holistic wellness into their daily lives. Welcome to the show. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Building Authentic Relationships in Business. Today, I'm excited. I have my old friend and guest, Joel Bash. Joel, why don't you introduce yourself and tell my audience a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Thank you, Jeff. Joel Bash is my name. I have a company that does business introductions. I actually introduce professionals to each other. Starting tomorrow, it's actually be my 30-year anniversary. So I've been, doing it 30 years, and I specialize in replication, meaning I don't consider myself a connector. I am a replicator. People tell me how they get business, and I want to replicate that by introducing them to their target market.
I love that. And I think that's a unique twist. And I love the word replicate because a lot of people think it's instead of or whatever. So let's just back up. 30 years in business. First of all, congratulations. That's statistically unlikely, and sadly, it's a big milestone. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Let's travel back in time 30 years. What made you wake up one day and say, I'm going to start a business and this is what I'm going to do?
Yes. Well, I was in a family real estate business out of college, and then start when I was working in that family business, realized I didn't want to be in the family business. I was searching for my niche. We moved from New York to Newport Beach, Orange County, California, and then moved to LA in 1985. And my father wanted to meet people. So I had the idea to start my own networking group. And so I started that in Beverly Hills. It was called the Beverly Hills Business Organization. And I started that in 1985. And people would come to my events and say, I need to meet CPAs. I need to meet attorneys. I need to meet financial planners. And I'd say, well, go meet them. Well, I don't know where they are. I don't have the time to find them. And so I realized that, everyone's coming to my group to meet a certain target, that they weren't here to network. They needed introductions. And my New York mind, it's like, let's just cut to the chase. Who are you really here to meet? So let me just introduce you instead of just giving you a smorgasbord of people. I always give the examples like, I want Chinese food. I'm going to Mexican restaurants. Now, why would
And
I do
maybe I'll
that?
have Italian.
Right. It's like, why would in food, obviously, where the Chinese food is. It's at a Chinese restaurant. And so you can get all the Chinese food you want if that's what you want. With networking, it doesn't exist. I want to, if my target market is tax attorneys, let's say, I go to a networking event, there's 100 people in the room. I don't even know if there's a tax attorney here. Why am I here? Well,
Yeah.
because I don't have any other choice. I don't know where the tax attorneys are. And maybe if I go to a networking group, maybe there's one there if I'm lucky. This is 2023. This is not 1776, where Ben Franklin and Paul Revere, they were noted networkers. That's the way they were doing it. It was the same thing then. It
Yeah.
hasn't evolved. And that's my mission. My quest is to get the word out. What you're saying, Jeff, is to let people know that there is a better way, that networking needs to evolve, and that networking is not business development. Networking is, I went to this event, I got 30 cards. It's as if I said, I went to a I want Chinese food, but I went to a Mexican restaurant. I networked.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything. Business development is, I met my target, and that's where my business is. I went to the Chinese restaurant because that's what I wanted, and that's really the message I want to give to everyone. But that's how I got involved in it, because I realized I wasn't helping people, just giving them a smorgasbord of people. It's like, who are you really here to meet? Let me introduce you. That's where your business is. You're going to get it once they meet you and know you and like you.
I love it. Now, I'm dying to ask this because I think I'm going to both be surprised and disappointed. What are the biggest changes you've seen in networking in 30 years?
I haven't. And see, that's the
I
thing.
was hoping you wouldn't say that.
No, there has been no change whatsoever. People are, as I said, people are kind of like, complacent about it. It's like, there's like the emperor has no clothes. You're just saying, well, I'm going to go to this restaurant. I'm just going to eat what you give me.
Yeah.
There's no questioning. No one's seeking for higher levels. And that, you know, kind of boggles my mind. And that's what I'm trying to spread to the world, that there is a better way of doing this. There are higher levels of networking. It's just, it needs to be done by someone. And, the running joke about me and what I do is, Joel, I don't know anybody else that does what you do. And well, I don't either, you know, I mean, that's the thing. But the smartest person in the world can't refute what I'm doing. So no, I shouldn't meet my target. I shouldn't meet people face to face that I know historically have been a good source of business for me.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to make those introductions.
Well, and I think it's fascinating because I find a lot of businesses, they're addicted to novel and they're like, oh, I want to find new markets. I want to do this. And it's like, until you've dominated, you said talking about tax accountants, until you've served every tax accountant in your area, why would you go look at another niche?
Exactly, right. It's like, people get off on tangents because it occupies their time. Say, well, I'm here, I might as well do something, but it's just not efficient. So, I mean, I can give you all the analogies in the world. I mean, I want to meet hockey players, I'm at a basketball game. Or I want to build up my left muscle, but I'm doing this with my right. It's not efficient, and it's not targeted, and it's not consistent.
Yeah.
So
Well, I'm going to share a really random example, but I had a friend way back in college. He really wanted to meet a good, wholesome Christian girl. And he kept going to these pickup bars, and he's like, there's no good, wholesome Christian girls out there. And I'm like, no, you're looking in the wrong place. And his mom looked at him and said, I told you to go to church on Sunday. And that's where he met his later wife. And it was like, why would you go somewhere totally different against your objectives to find something that's not a fit for what you want?
exactly. I mean, I don't know how he would respond to something like that, but when you said wholesome in bars, I mean, obviously that would be an oxymoron. It wouldn't fit. So,
Yeah.
but 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 exactly that. Just, replicate what's worked. Keep meeting your target, and if you don't know how to, if you you have to know who your target is, otherwise you shouldn't be networking at all. B, once you know who your target is, you need to know how to get in front of them.
Well, and it's fascinating because before our conversation today, I reread the notes, and it's fascinating that we met through Michael Whitehouse. So, first of all, we'll say hi to Michael. But a year ago, I took some notes, and I'm loving that we're having this conversation again. Last year, I wrote down Joel believes in replicating what works. Everyone he meets falls into a category. And your example was if you get clients through real estate attorneys, meet more of them.
Right. Meet 100 more. I mean, just because again, that's where your Chinese food is. That's where your business is. I need to know them so they can refer it to me. Because
Yeah,
like your best clients in the world, your best friends started with, "Hi, I'm Jeff." That's where it started, but it worked because they were the right people.
yeah,
What you want to avoid is, Jeff, you're great, you're wonderful. I can't help you.
yeah.
I don't refer that type of workout. Well, who does? Well, then meet those people. That's business development. Everything else is networking. You don't want to network. You want to do business development.
And I think I'm not going to name names because I don't have a legal department that I want to engage. But, there are networking events and networking groups. And what people miss is that the person who fills the room has a vested interest in filling seats. So their goal is to sell seats. Your goal is to meet people. Well, if their seat selling objective doesn't meet the people you want to meet objective, and you get into that exclusivity space, it's really hard to do any business development. So
Well, again, if you want to meet basketball players and you're at a hockey game, you're in the wrong place. So you have to know where they're filling in seats is my target in the room. It's
yeah,
just for plain efficiency. I mean, I hear people all the time saying, "Well, I met this person maybe one day, they'll
yeah,
refer me, or maybe down the road." That's the common expression. Down. You don't want to do that. You want the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. You want that straight line business development. That's just going to bring you what you want.
yeah. I love that. Now, you've seen little change in 30 years. I was hoping you would say otherwise, but I had this sinking suspicion that that's what you were going to say. What do you wish more people did in their business development efforts? So first and foremost, we're going to just say no to networking. We're going to focus on business development. What are some tips you would give people so that they could work with you better, perhaps?
Well, I mean, tips in general. Again, once you know your target market, I mean, let's just say it's CPAs. I'm just using a random
Yeah,
topic. Let's say you know 1,000 people in the world, and you just simply ask them, "Hey, do you know a CPA that I could say hello to?" Oh, Jeff, I didn't know that you needed that. Yeah, here's two or three, and then if you keep doing that, you have a list of 100, 200 CPAs that you can just go meet, say hello to. I
yeah,
tell that to people all the time. Nobody does it, but it's a very simple way to get what you want. It's like, so, you have to ask for it.
yeah.
If you don't ask, you don't get. So it's all about discipline. Everything that we've accomplished in our life has been through discipline, whether it be schooling, our profession, music instrument. If we do everything we do over and over again, we get good at, and we succeed at. It's the same thing with business development.
Love it. And I think that's the thing. People get really excited about the latest and greatest shiny object, and they go running off in a direction. I'm not kidding, Joel. I met somebody who does business in a very affluent community in Southern California, just north of San Diego. And she said, I've been to every networking in the city once. I didn't get a single client. Networking doesn't work. And I was didn't have the replicator word, but the reality was she was literally doing the spray and pray, and I'm not kidding, she said everybody with skin is my client, or a prospect. And I said, well, no, I think there's going to be a group that values what you do more than others, but she insisted. And so she'd go to like chamber events, she went to everything. And after a year of running all over the city, she was exhausted, she was broke, and her business was failing.
Well, I'm sure that again, her target wasn't there, and I think maybe her attitude, also was a deterrent, and maybe she was already defeated before she
Yeah,
even tried. I'd have to talk to her, but again, I'm sure her target wasn't in the room, or maybe very limited.
yeah. It was fascinating just to hear her, and that's the thing. She'd walk up to every single person and say, "I sell this. Do you want it? Yes or no?" They'd say no, and then she'd get mad and she'd go to the next person. No attempts to build relationships, no attempts to, tell me about yourself. But ironically, she decided she chucked all of her networking, she chucked all relationship building, and she went for a billboard on the freeway. Last I heard, her business was not doing well. So,
Well, I mean, as I said, it would be nice to speak to her to see exactly, who her target was, and again, maybe, the product wasn't great. I mean, there's other factors,
yeah.
but as I say, business development is meeting your target, because how could someone who isn't your target help you?
Hmm.
It
Well,
all
and
goes back to the target.
I think, I have this conversation at least 5 times a day. If people don't know who their target is, how do you judge your results? You
Well,
know?
if you don't know who your target is, it's like being in a, just being in a dark room. Where am I going? But if they've had any success in their business, they have to know who their
Yeah.
target was. How have they gotten the business that they've received, thus far? So 99% of the people know who their target is. They're just laid back and, as they say,
Yeah.
complacent when it comes to finding them.
Yeah. And I think that's, again, we live in this digital age where there's so much novelty. Um, I love that replicate what works. If something works well, do more of that something.
Yeah, just simple logic. They say all the greatest successes are all based on simple axioms and things like that. So yeah, just replicate what's worked. Again, it just like I walk 2 hours a day. Couldn't and so how do you do that? Well, it couldn't be more simple. I put one foot in front of the other and just start walking. And I walk in a circle, but I do it morning, noon, and night. And once you start, it's easy to do, but it's easy to replicate. So
Yeah.
it's the same thing. It's like I want to build a muscle, I pick up a weight, I do that. Couldn't be more simple, but it's how I build up a muscle. Business development is no different. Once you know where it is, you just keep meeting those people, and they give you the business because they have the business. The people outside your target, they don't have the business. They can't give it to you.
Yep. And that's the thing. It's not theirs to give. How will they give it to you?
Right, they can't. So, but that's what people have to understand. Where is my business? Let me get in front of those people that have it.
Yeah. I'm going to give a really simple example because it just blew my mind. I met a dentist who was really adamant they were a pediatric dentist. They wanted to reach children and they were really looking to find the parents. And the weird thing is, they hired somebody to do direct mail. And for some reason, it was just absolutely fascinating to me. The neighborhood they picked was exclusively seniors. Like,
Yeah.
the funny thing is, if you looked at the dividing line of the property, across the street was an elementary school. And I was like, you couldn't just go talk to the principal and say, "Hey, I want to do a oral health lesson for the kids." And they're like, "Oh, I wish we would have thought of that."
Well, yeah, perfect example. Just fundamentally wrong. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just that it's fundamentally wrong. Just like if I want to go to a hockey game and I go to a basketball arena, I'm fundamentally wrong. It's like
Yeah.
why I'm in the wrong place.
Hmm.
So people just need to understand that and appreciate it, just like anything else.
I love that. Now, you have an amazing network and you have an amazing skill. And I'm going to go back to your walking 2 hours a day example. I'm guessing you didn't wake up one day and say, "I'm going to walk for 2 hours," because I'm sure that would cause all kinds of pain. Last time we chatted, you had, I think, a community of about 18,000 professionals in Southern California alone. How do you stay in touch with your network, your community? Because again, I think a lot of people, they network and it's one-on-one emails, one-on-one greeting cards, one-on-one phone calls. Um, I'm not smart enough to even fathom that. How do you connect with 18,000 people and keep them top of mind?
Well, I mean, it's hard to do that with 18,000, but in general, I mean, I'm connected with, a lot of them, on LinkedIn. So, oh, it's Jeff's birthday. Happy birthday, Jeff. Jeff got promoted. Congratulations.
Yeah.
So I stay in touch with a lot of people that way, but also, just through introducing them to someone, questions, some obviously I'm friends with, but, look, everyone that I met, even if we didn't speak for 10 years, I can go back to them and say, I have a question for you, and they'll answer me because they have met me. They know me, and so I have the credibility with them. But like you said, it's hard to maintain, to stay in touch with 18,000. But I do the best I can, and I'm just not one to send out, you know, um, what do you call it, the bulk emails, the mass emails, and because I don't like getting them and having to because it's not personal. I'm always personal.
And I think that's, anytime somebody says, "Can I add you to my list?" Please don't.
Right, right.
Because
Well, they're doing it anyway.
Yeah, and they do it anyways, and then I unsubscribe, and then they get offended. It's like, well, if you had something personal for me, if you wished me a happy birthday, and I'll just share an example that Joel and I met last year, had a great conversation, and then life got in the way, and I got busy, and I went, oh, I need to circle back. And then magically, Joel sent me an email and he was looking for accountants. Again, not a mass email. It was Jeff, I'm looking for accountants. And it was a specific geography where I couldn't help. And I said, hey, Joel, we need to catch up. And here we are. And I think so many people want the silver bullet, the easy button. They're not willing to invest the time to build relationships. And I'm just thinking out loud, and I want to hear your take on this. It's probably because they don't know who they should build relationships with.
Well, it's that, and it's just again, it's just not their specialty, not their, their desire. They have other things in their mind. But again, who's successful in the world? The people who are most successful in the world are the ones that recruit talent to do things that they don't want to do, and
Well,
leverage their time to do things they can't do, even if they want to do it. There are people who are very good networkers, but they don't have the time to go to all these events. They're busy running their business, so it just comes back down to the fundamentals again. Who is my target? Am I gonna, if I don't want to do it, would I recruit talent to come in and do it? But back, the business is out there. Do I want to get it? I mean, it's just it's all comes down to that.
I love it. Now, I'm not asking you to give away your secrets, but I'm going to assume that you have some systems and some processes that only 30 years of experience would allow somebody to create. Is that fair?
Well, yeah, I mean, one of the secrets, if you will, as I said, is asking. Like I told you, if like I ask you for CPAs, I do what I tell other people to do. So if you want to meet CPAs, you ask the people that you know for CPAs. That again is part of the fundamentals, but people don't want to do that
Yeah.
for whatever reason. It's against their beliefs, or they just don't like it. It's like going to the dentist. I just don't want to do it. I'm going to put it off until my tooth starts hurting.
Yeah.
But the secrets, I mean, just again, fundamentals, I'm stressing that. It's just so simple. Who is my how have I gotten to this position so far, thus far? Who has been a great source? How have I gotten all these clients? So just let me keep back to the replication example. So again, how did I lose weight? Well, I walked, I did the treadmill, but it was consistent. I did it every day. I ate the right foods. I slept right. It's just those fundamentals which would lead you to success in any endeavor.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. Everybody wants to be, sorry, I'm going to date myself. They want to be Michael Jordan, but they don't want to go to practice this morning.
Yeah. So again, if that's the case, that's okay. As long,
Yeah.
you're the driver of your car, right? If you want it to go forward, backwards, left, right, you're in control of it. You don't want to go to practice, that's fine, but you won't complain saying, "Well, I didn't achieve my goal because I
Yeah.
didn't want to go to practice." That's fine. You made that decision.
Well, and I think it's equally important. I'm a huge fan of Dan Sullivan's book, Who Not How. And I think a lot of people get in their own way trying to figure out how to do something. And you alluded to this. If you don't like networking, don't beat yourself up. Hire an Uber and get the Uber to drive you rather than you figuring out how to drive the car. Bring Joel in and say, here's what we can do.
Right. I mean, again, I always simplify things. I need to eat. Well, the food's at the grocery store 3 miles away. I mean, I could drive there, I could walk there, or I could pay someone to go get, but I need the food.
Yep.
I need the food to survive. How, so I have to make a choice. How am I going to get that? Same thing here. It's like you just need to have knowledge of how to do business development, and then decide, do I want to do it or not do it?
Yep. And it's funny. I had a friend who took her teenage boy to the grocery store because he wanted food, and she said, "Okay, go buy this stuff." And he didn't know what to buy, so she helped him buy it, and then came home and he's like, "Let's go get takeout because there's nothing to eat." And she's like, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, we bought I wanted food," which to him was, the prepared stuff, but she bought fruit and vegetables, and he's like, "This isn't food. Somebody's got to make it." And she's like, "Okay, I'll teach you how to cook." But I think that's the thing. It's if you don't like cooking, go to a restaurant and know which
Yeah,
restaurant you're going to.
yeah. So again, we can give all the analogies, but it all points in the same direction.
Yeah. So let's talk about working with Joel. Um, how does somebody work with you? What does that look like? Somebody's watching this and saying, "You know what, Jeff, I love your mission to elevate networking, but just connecting people, doing this stuff. I don't know the difference between networking and business development." How does somebody work with Joel?
Well, two ways. One, basically charge $300 for each introduction. I tell everybody meet a minimum of 5 people since it is a system. Keep meeting your target, you hit your target, all the things I've said. Or I also do business development consulting. I can tell people how to set up their own discipline to do business development. And again, back to the replication, but that's how I work with people.
I love it. Now, I'm a big fan of habits. Do you have any favorite habits that help you in life and in business?
Well, the walking for sure helps me in life. It's very very good discipline for all sorts of for stress relief, for just for obviously heart health and general health. Reading books is also very good. There's this one book that I love. It's called 8,789 Words of Wisdom, because I love wisdom, and it's just different phrases and sentences of all good advice, for life. So, but uh, those are the basic things.
I love that. Now, if somebody's not sure, because I know it's a big gap because there's a lot of noise, first of all, about you need to be on social media, you need to do, somebody told me I need to be on TikTok, and I said, no, thank you. And then there's the old noise of the old networking way. If somebody's not sure that replicating is the step for them, where do they go? How do they learn more? What's the process to get to know Joel before they decide if they want to work with you or not?
Well, joelbatch.com is my website, and obviously my LinkedIn. They can learn all about me. My claim to fame, I was on CNN in 1996. It's on my website, and but it's all there for the taking. It's a great way to leverage yourself and meet your target, so you don't have to, to do it yourself.
I love it. Now, is there anything I should have asked you because you are the expert at being you? Is there anything about replicating that you'd like to talk about further?
No, it's a very simple process. It really is. It's just this, as I said, people don't want to do it, so they just don't do it. But it's a it's a business like any other. It's just people call me a finder. You find these people. You ask, you put yourself out there, but once you know who your target is, just by asking your friends and people that do you know that person, and then you just start meeting them, you'll get inspired.
Yeah.
Once you get that first client doing it that way, say, well, why didn't I do this a year ago or 5 years ago? And then you really get excited about it.
Well, and honestly, I feel like it's so simple. People must be suspicious. Does it work? It's like when I talk to people about wellness, the number one thing they say is we need to eat better, we need to drink more water, and we need to get better sleep. And then people go, "What else you got?"
Yeah, well, it has to work. There's no such thing as it not working,
Yeah,
because you can't replicate something that hasn't worked. You can only replicate something that has worked. So once you know what has worked, you're doing that over and over. So there's no such a thing as that replication doesn't work or it's not successful, because you're only repeating what already has been successful.
Yeah, I love that simplicity. And, I think for people listening, that is something we need to get back to. I think it was Vince Lombardi used to start his training camps every season, and he'd say, "This gentleman is a football," and they'd go back to the fundamentals. And I think a lot of people miss, they want to do the fancy things. My son was in basketball, and all these kids, they wanted to learn how to dunk. And the coach, he wasn't as polite or kind as he could have been, but he laughed at him and said, "You guys don't know how to dribble or shoot. I'm not teaching you how to dunk."
Right. No, no, that makes perfect sense. And another thing I wanted to add, if you're not sure how to replicate your past successes, you can ask other people in your profession, who are very successful at what they do, and ask them. And again, some people won't want to give you their secrets, but other people will, and they'll say, "Oh, I started the same way as you did, and somebody helped me, so I'm going to pay it forward. I'm going to help you." But the key is to ask 30 people, not two people. It's always about many shots on goal, like in
Yeah.
basketball. It's like at halftime at basketball games, you see everybody shooting at the rim. You see a lot of them going in, and that's true. Again, business development. Just keep shooting at the right basket, and then a lot of them go in.
I love it. Well, Joel, I could talk to you all day, but I did promise you I'd let you out so you can get back to your day, and I know you've got lots going on. Is there any parting thoughts you'd say to somebody who is in business and maybe they're struggling a little right now? Um, what do you see as the future of small business today?
Well, it should never be a struggle. There's so much knowledge around. You just it's just you have to be inspired to seek knowledge, and then you won't struggle anymore. You just need to find out. Again, it's like I want to drive to Chicago from Los Angeles. If I didn't have a compass, if I didn't have directions, if I didn't have a map, there'd be no way I could find it. But
Yeah,
once I know where Chicago is relative to Los Angeles, I could just start driving towards it. I'm not going to get there in a day, but
yeah,
now I know where I'm going. It inspires me. It gives me confidence. It gives me security to
yeah.
do that, and that's what you need.
Well, and I think that's a great analogy because in that case, LA and Chicago are fixed. And once you know how to get there, you can replicate that the next time.
Right, right.
You'll
So
also learn don't go on that side road, go on this road.
right. So Chicago is obviously east of Los Angeles. So if I start going north, why would I do that? I wouldn't. So it's the same thing with business development. Just know where it is and just go towards it.
It's fascinating, and I'm just going to share with you, Joel, that as I was on this project and on this endeavor, I was hoping to share all these bright and amazing insights. And the thing I keep reminding and rediscovering: fundamentals, fundamentals, fundamentals. Know where you are, know where you want to go, and figure out how to get there. It's not
Right.
rocket science.
It's not, but as I said, you're the driver of the car, so you need to know where you're going, and so it's all there for the taking. There are no excuses as to why you can't do business development. It's just, do I want to or do I not want to, and do I want to get someone else to do it for me? You know, it's just there. As I said, it's all there for the taking.
I love it. Well, Joel, I want to thank you for being on the show with me, and I want to thank you for sharing your amazing insights on business development with my community.
Well, thank you, Jeff, for having me. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to our show. We hope that you enjoyed this episode, and we invite you to either click the link below or scan the QR code to register and listen to other episodes of our podcast. Or if you think your business or you would be a great guest to be on our show, we're always looking for experts in one of the 9 elements of holistic wellness. We'd love to have you. You can either click the link below or you can scan the QR code and complete our speaker intake form. Thank you, and to your wellness.